Welcome to the Finance Geeks, a podcast about real financial planning. If you're into numbers, strategies, and building a great planning business, this is your ultimate geeky hangout.
Welcome to Season 4, Episode 7 of the Finance Geeks podcast. Thanks for joining us. My name is Warren Shute, and I'm joined by
Paul Cleworth.
That's a good one this week, Paul. That's a good one. And today we're discussing AI and financial advice, friend or foe. Before we dive into that very topical topic, Paul, what have you been up to?
I've been into London with my team. Took them all to the Duck and Waffle.
Duck and
Have you been there?
Waffle.
Heron Tower?
No,
Very
sounds nice.
Guess what we had for lunch?
Duck
and waffle and eggs, yeah, and a glass of champagne. Yeah. It was great. We were sort of celebrating the small wins. I can't remember what it was. It was just, start of a good year, good team, good culture. We didn't actually put a main reason on it. I just said to the team, I've got to take you. Let's go. So we did that.
Nice. You are
yeah,
nice.
you've got to look after your team.
I hope my team don't listen to this.
I flew to Scotland last week to see my folks. They're getting old. I need some help.
You went out hiking as well, did you?
I did.
Yeah.
Mila Bacali again, and just it's one of my favourite things, Warren. Just getting out on the hills, proper mountains. 2-3 hours climbing to the top of a hill in the weather early in the morning, and then just plotting a route home. I love it. It's good for
a close second to doing the podcast for me.
Yeah. I've been very good. I've been karting with my son. Obviously, everyone gets bored about me talking about karting, but we changed teams to a company called Evolution, Team Evolution, and they're brilliant and very professional. So we're happy with them. And I've been doing loads of insurance renewals. Oh my Lord, it's so boring. Professional indemnity, private medical, our group policy, our home insurance policy, our office and surgeries policy. They're all around this time. So really boring. And lastly, I've been thinking about AI a lot recently, which is convenient
because we're going to talk about it.
But yeah, so it's I've been demonstrated by AI by these different firms, so we'll get into that later. But before we do, what have you been up to, Warren? I want to know.
So every quarter we run what we refer to as a State of the Nation meeting for the team. So we had that last week. We all get together, run through the financials, what we've been up to, a bit of training. So that's a real good day like that. We've been planning Lexington's 20th birthday party.
20th?
Yeah, so Lexington Wealth is 20 years old this year. So we've got a birthday party coming up in a few weeks' time.
Are you going to celebrate for that? I mean,
yeah.
Everyone a client do?
Yeah. All clients get invited. Got a big party on the lawn. Chef comes in, magician, band, champagne. Yeah,
you're doing it at yours?
Yeah, you might as well. We've got the space and stuff like that. So
brilliant.
Yeah, it's in June, so we'll be outside and good. Looking forward to that. Been interviewing. Oh, and I'm really lucky. The practice manager and Nikki do all the initial interviews, but you've got to get in. So we've got 2 vacancies open. We've offered on one. He's accepted, which is great.
That's good.
We just got the second one, which we're
admin, power planner, technical. What have you got?
The role is actually going to be a trainee financial planner. So we're going to take them in from 0 through to CFP over like a 5-year period. So we've mapped out the route and stuff. So that's cool. My birthday present arrived. So I got a massage chair for my birthday. So I've been spending a lot of time in my massage chair. And I got to say, it is amazing. So,
are they really worth the hype? Because they're thousands and thousands of pounds. So you're sitting there and your arms and your legs.
They're worth twice the hype.
But then you don't just get lazy. You just sit in and watch. What do you do? Just relax, listen to music, or you don't watch telly at the same time.
Hey, do you know what? I think you taught me. You said to me, life's for living, isn't it? It's not about chasing the next buck.
Yeah, but I also said don't have a sedentary lifestyle. You're sitting down for 2 hours a day. Living the good life.
It's like half an hour, 20 minutes, half an hour, something like that.
Do you know what I did last night? Right, talk about chalk and cheese here. I've got one of these mats with the what do you call them? That the Indian mats with the prickles on them. These things that
crazy. Do you call them crazy or uncomfortable?
It's a spiky mat. I'm trying to think. I'll think of the name in a second. But you lie on it, and you're in absolute agony.
Why would you do that? I bet you still jump into ice baths, don't you?
I still do the ice baths, yeah. Oh, but you lie on it, and it's a Shakti mat. That's it. And it's basically very, very uncomfortable. If we weren't recording
live, there would be a very funny joke about that, honestly.
So listen, you lie on it. I did 15 minutes. I was listening to an Audible book. I was listening to Lord of the Rings, Andy Serkis reading it to me. I love it.
Try and put you to sleep.
So I'm relaxing. The first couple of minutes is agony. You want to get off. And after that, it gets warmer and hotter on your back. You've got bare skin.
It's like the blood pouring down.
Yeah. And you want and you look like an orange peel afterwards. You look doesn't look great, but it stimulates all your nervous system. and sort of you get this big rush of adrenaline, and it's brilliant. You should try it. Shakti.
Yeah, I will. Leave that one with me.
I'll put an Amazon link in the a link to one on Amazon.
Me
in
not
the,
to click
show
on.
notes.
Hey, and it's golf season. Golf. We're
is.
back playing golf. So played lots of golf. Had a charity game. Played down in the Goring in Street League course done. That was lovely. And
are you still pretty terrible?
Yeah. But I'm enjoying it. You know, it's great. And playing Sunningdale next week. So
Nice.
Nick Olson, Jeremy Brett, and a few others. So be good fun.
Fantastic. Right, should
So
we get on with
busy
it?
time. Okay, so main focal point: AI and financial advice, friend or foe. So you've done a lot of work into this. We're using AI very, very, in depth. We our mantra here. When I had the State of the Nation meeting, I said to my team, I want us to see ourselves as a technology company delivering financial planning advice. Okay. And what I mean by that is I want the AI to take the heavy lifting. I've said before what our aims are: 1 team, 1 decade, 1 billion. I don't want to become a big team. I don't want to become a huge numbers of people. And I feel genuinely that AI will take a lot of the mundane work away from us. Mundane and automation. I don't think it's just AI. I think we can get process and automation that will allow us to sort of grow. So tell me, where do you want to dive in?
I think that we should try to explain and give a simple explanation of what AI actually is, because you based on what you just said, then there's people who will be using it and using lots of different types of AI, different software, different programs, and they'll be quite experienced at it. They'll have got pretty good at it, and there's almost certainly others that are listening to this that perhaps feel a bit lost and don't really know what it is. And I don't profess to be an expert. I'm definitely still learning, but did a bit of research before for this podcast. So I think this is the sort of simple explanation of AI. AI is software that can perform tasks that previously required human input, things like summarizing information, drafting text, recognizing patterns, transcribing conversations, and answering questions. And I think most people are using it without really realizing that they're using it. Things like predictive text, that's AI, spam filters on your emails, voice assistants, online recommendations, translation tools, photo recognition. It's prevalent at the moment. There's definitely types of AI that I've liked and enjoyed, and others that I've become incredibly frustrated with, is the truth. It's sort of like a very fast, very confident assistant, but it's not wise, it's not accountable, and it doesn't truly understand the client. So that's my biggest concern with it.
Yeah, do you know what? I absolutely love it. I think it's fantastic, and I think the way we describe it in our office is it's a trainee. Yeah, you got to look at it as a trainee. You can't give it some information and trust it. Just like when my news team will arrive and start, I won't ask them to write an email and send to the client. It's going to get read.
Yeah,
so that means it's going to get checked, and that's what we do with this. But some of the things that we've been able to do in our office and stuff, it's really enabled us to speed things up, which is great. We've created our own AI model. We've called it Mr. Lexington. So already we've noticed that, it's not called Warren. That's probably pretty good, right? Purpose-built, closed model that just looks at trusted sources. So it's not going off the web. We've even structured it in such a way that if it goes off the web, we told it not to, it's got to tell us, look, I've hallucinated this. I've gone off the web and got this answer.
You've built this?
Yeah. And I built it. Warren built it. So
using which software in particular?
I use Copilot. So internally, our AI model I've built 2 things. Okay, so I've built the whatever you call it, the AI model using Copilot. I'll show you how to do it. It doesn't take very long. It's very quite straightforward. It points generally at the FCA handbook and HMRC websites and our compliance manual stuff. And the team can just ask it questions, and it will just come back. It will give them answers that I feel are reasonable and trusted. That's one thing that I've built. And then using Claude, we have Claude Coworks. We have the
I know that works,
yeah. I've got a little widget that sits on my browser that will search I don't want to say which website, I'll tell you off air, but will search a particular website's resources and give me back all the answers. So because I'm using it privately and not using it commercially, I feel okay doing that. But yeah, that's a pretty powerful tool. And I built that myself just using Claude.
Sure, sure. When I thought about this topic and thought about the way that some people will be using it, I immediately thought of the analogy of health, and instead of going to a doctor, a specialist, you sort of Google your health. You Google the answer, and you think. I think there's definitely people out there that put questions into ChatGPT and Claude and other forms of AI, Copilot and Gemini, and they ask a very basic question and then just trust the answer that comes out and says, "Oh, that's probably right," not really realizing what it's looking at, where it's getting the information from, and whether that information is actually accurate. It's very easy to sort of assume that when the answer is written really intelligently and professionally back to you, you're thinking, "Oh, that's amazing. That must be right." And I've tested it, as I'm sure you've done, on complicated tax questions, and then really thought about it and checked it and thought, "That's not right. It's using the wrong information, the wrong tax table. That's not correct."
Bias, isn't it? If someone's a doctor or something, people can believe what they say. Humans make errors and mistakes and things like that. There's lots of garbage on the internet, and AI is just the same. It's in the same sort of category. You just got to make sure you reference it and you qualify what the information is coming back to you at.
Yeah, but I think we have to draw the line with this. It depends what you're using it for, right? So I mentioned to you off air, we've got an AI policy as a business that we've put together. And it sounds completely hypocritical, but because we put the policy together using AI, we did check it afterwards, and it definitely saved time doing it. So we explained to the AI what we wanted it to do. I think we did it in a combination of ChatGPT and Claude. We used both, but I think Claude, for me, Anthropic was better to produce the final output. I much preferred the using co-work, as you mentioned, then to link it to SharePoint and OneDrive for Business and tell it what to look at, give it a lot of information, describe what you want the outcome to be, and then we got it. And we also were looking for references on trusted websites, whether it's some FCA compliance websites, got our compliance guy involved, and put together a document that explained how we want to use the software as a business and how we don't. And it bothers me that there's a perception, I think, in our profession, in our industry, that our advisors are just going to get more clients, more AUM, become more efficient, and just, what I think might be the outcome is the outcomes for the clients are reduced. The accuracy, the clarity, the human interaction with the client, I think, could be reduced. And that bothers me. I'm not just going to use AI to get rid of half my staff and say, "Oh, no, the AI will just do it. It'll write the suitability letters, create the reports." I'm not actually as positive about it because it's stressful. It goes against what I really like doing, which is sit down with a client and chat with them. If it's using it to record the conversation, to create the notes, and then summarize those that I check afterwards, that level of efficiency I like. But I really worry about producing reports or advisors that produce reports using AI to then just say, "There you go."
Mark Zuckerberg has cloned himself. He's created a Zuckerberg model, and it's actually a hologram. And now everybody has to report to the hologram to that rather than to Mark. And Mark sits there checking the responses that it gives. What he's trying to do is trying to replicate himself. I see it as a huge opportunity for us to add more value to the client.
Explain. How can we add more value to the client using AI?
Because I'm not going to allow an AI speak to my client. Okay. When a client passes away, I'm the one who's going to pick up the phone straight away.
Yeah, but that doesn't explain. Just answer the question. How are you going to use AI to have better outcomes for your client?
No, because that's going to allow me more time.
So the efficiency aspect. More time, client-facing time, because it's doing all the mundane stuff.
Instead of me having to check all my emails, I've got a bit of software called Fixer that runs on my emails, drafts me replies.
But you check the replies before they go out.
Absolutely. But instead of me thinking and writing the reply, it's done 80% of the work. And I gotta be honest, I think my knowledge is pretty good on trust and stuff. It wrote a reply the other day that I had to go and double check because I was that impressed with it. It went into technical detail. So, there's some fantastic tools out there that are allowing us to spend more time with the client, solving problems, creating confidence, creating opportunities.
Sure. Let's talk about what we use AI for and why it sort of matters in financial planning, because we've covered a little bit of this as we've been talking, but you use it for meeting notes. Is that right?
Yeah. So generally speaking, we have two tools. We have Advisory AI, which we particularly like, and we have Planner Pal. We kind of use them interactive, depends on what kind of meet you're in, that kind of thing.
And now, when you started to use those, how did you come across those? And did you sort of use and review 10 different bits of software and then settle on those, or did you just try those, like them, and say, "Oh, we'll run with those"?
Advisory AI is the nicer story that I met with those guys in London before they actually went big, and they were specializing in meeting notes.
Yeah.
And I said to them, look, everyone's going to be doing meeting notes. You really want to do suitability reports and stuff like that. That's really where unique is. Every bit of advice has to have a suitability report. And they listened and they did it. And they're two fantastic guys. And I really like to see their success and how well they've done. And they've taken it to a whole new level, the way the software. So
use it for meeting notes and creating what, suitability reports?
we don't create the suitability reports yet with it. We do create. No, that's not true. We do. We just don't use them yet.
Okay.
We create, yeah. So because what we're doing is it's like a trainee. Okay, I can't bring a trainee into my office and just expect them to run with it. But if I never help them and learn them and get them to do it, and we don't keep doing it, they'll never become proficient.
When people have chatbots on their website, have you ever tried to use chatbots on big company websites?
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of them.
This is my point exactly. Most of them are really rubbish. And I think that you get frustrated as the client. I know I do when I go on one of these and it directs you to the chatbot. And it's just finding information on the site. Okay. But when you've got a question that requires a human, I write in there, can I speak to a human? We think you want to look at this product. And it's just, it's really frustrating.
Do you know I'm going to call them out, who the worst is for this is Withings scales and fitness products, stuff like that. I have some Withings scales. I've changed my phone from Apple to Android.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Trying to get the data from Apple onto Android. It's just a chatbot. I'm like,
oh, right. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Well, this is the point. It bothers me that with all of this software that comes in, if people are going to use it for the right reasons, and this is where we're going to talk about the friend part of it, and then we'll talk about the faux aspect. If you're using it for the right reasons, I agree it can create efficiencies and economies of scale and assist with freeing up time. And I get that. It bothers me, though, that the advisors out there are going to use it. And I know that I've looked to use it in this regard and then realized very quickly to find answers to technical questions. Client gives you a summary, put all the information into AI, spits out a pretty amazing answer. Where's the humane aspect, the bespoke aspect, the 26 years of experience that I have, the tone and the empathy? Where is that in that output? So, go back to what we use it for. Meeting notes like yourself, we use Saturn. Because of circumstance, met the chap Rohit who sort of set it up and runs it. We went to the same school together, to Manchester Grammar, and I tried it and I liked it, and I've since tried and had a look at Marlou, and that's very impressive. But I thought it's not that much different. I'll stick with Saturn. So creating a document that establishes and documents the client objectives, that updates the fact find, creates a report on the discussion that you've had with the client, as sort of, gives you the compliant record and the follow-up actions. I love all of that. That's brilliant. You have a meeting, records it, gives you a summary. And if you have a 2-hour meeting with a client, you can produce a 9-page, A4 Word document of notes all set out, client objectives, risk discussions, vulnerabilities, objectives, tasks, all of that. And it's so much that we never give that to the client. It's way too long. It's good for us to know your client, but then we'll summarize that into a 2-page doc. And instead of attaching it to an email, we don't send attachments anymore for security reasons. We send a link and it goes to OneDrive, and we send a password via text. And it's a 2-page, really well-written summary of the meeting that we check. And that definitely saves us time.
So far, you've seen my meeting minutes. So far, I've not been able to get something. You talk about personalized. We do those principally manually. Does that make sense? So we're doing that. But I can see in the not too distant future that we will be able to automate a lot of that. I am a big advocate of ensuring you have a medical every year. We rotate it. We'll have a Bupa or a Nuffield or what have you, Blue Crest.
Yeah.
This year we went down to Nico, which is a Swedish medical company. There is an AI point to this story. Okay. And it is kind of like Apple meets healthcare. You walk into this very sparse, gorgeous room. They give you an iPad. You hit a few buttons. A doctor calls you up, or sorry, a nurse calls you up. They do a full body scan, take your bloods. They put it into a little chute. It goes off, and the doctor comes in, checks you all over. You get dressed, and then you go and see a consultant. And when you see a consultant, you'd love it. There's a huge screen on the wall, and he starts talking about your results. And we're like, well, how did you get those results? He said, oh, they're tested while you're getting ready and changed, and we get the results straight away. As I leave, I get a transcript of our conversation and all my medical results in a report on my email.
Is the difference, though, here that if you get factual information, like take your blood supply, get the measurements, get your BMI, get your waist measurements, get all the data, you can then spit out an output to say what this means.
Our conversations, I had a half an hour conversation with a consultant. Our conversation was transcribed into the report with all the factual information.
Okay.
So what I'm trying to say is, at the moment, the outputs that I'm looking at do not quite reflect our minutes. But the output that I received from Nico going through that experience was outstanding. And what I'm trying to say is, I don't think we're that far away. I think we're like months or weeks away.
But this depends on the software you're using and how you're using it and what the outputs are from it. I mean, for example, I've tried Notion. Notion is a note taker. I've tried Otter. I need to have a go at Fireflies.
Otter's quite decent, isn't it?
Well, I found Otter, when I used it, just pretty useless, in all honesty. Insofar as it sort of recorded the conversation and gave me the transcript, but it didn't give me the summary in the format that I wanted. Tried Notion. Didn't give it as much time as I perhaps could have. This is another reason why I didn't go with it. Thought it was pretty good, but at the same time, I compared that to Saturn specifically for financial planners, and so I decided I'll use that.
It's a schoolboy thing, right? It's because you went to the same school as you.
Well, no. Okay, maybe, yeah. There's probably an element of that, and you stick with what you've got, and you think, I can't be bothered going to find something else and try another thing. We're not a big enough firm. I'd need a person to come in, try all the AI, educate us all on how to use it, and you learn as you go. And this is my issue, that there's only so many financial planning CRM systems out there, or wrap platforms. Now, let's say that the main one's Intelligent Office or Planner or Iris, whatever. You use one, the effort in moving to another one and learning all about it is a drama. I agree. Similarly with AI, there's over, I looked it up and it's in a document I've got and generated, over 170 different bits of financial planning or AI software that a financial planner can use,
really?
Which is unbelievable for all the different things. So we talked about.
When you told me that, I just thought it was AI software, but just for a financial planner could use. That's pretty.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, right? Well, actually, okay, hang on. It's also for that you could use in the context of the work that we do. But as a financial planner, you could use lots and lots of them, and it's way more than I thought. And
me too.
I was going to say, the AI can help with the admin. It can help with the structure and the clarity, but it can't replace judgment, empathy, suitability, responsibility. And it's for me, it reduces the requirement for critical thought. This is the biggest bugbear that I have, where someone will use software to generate an output and just rely on it. I mean, take an example the other day of
that'd be sloppy, wouldn't it?
Well, it is sloppy, but it encourages tardiness and laziness. The software encourages it. You've got to use it responsibly.
Yeah, but I think it's the same with the internet. Pre 1990-ish, 95, we didn't have search engines. We'd have to go to a book and reference it.
Library.
Okay, you'd have an encyclopedia, say, at home and stuff like that. And then now you can search on the internet. And some people just take it as read. I've Googled it. It's it. It's the same with the AI. If you just whack it into AI, I don't Google anymore. I just go into AI. I don't ask Google anything.
And which program? Do you use ChatGPT for that? Do you use Copilot?
Do you know what? I think there's no reason for this, but we only use Copilot as a firm. So company-wise.
Because it's Microsoft.
Because it's Microsoft. We've tried to keep within the Microsoft ecosystem. We have the Copilot license, so we can search SharePoint for our folders. I can type into SharePoint, can you give me this client's policy number or whatever, and it will just come up. So I don't really need a database anymore. I think we're going away from the world of databases. I don't think you need a CRM. You just need a place to house all your information. If you've got all your data in SharePoint, you start searching, it will start giving you all the... I had a client today. He took the life insurance policy. I had an email through. He took the life insurance policy out, but he didn't write it in trust. And he'd come back to me a year later and said, "Oh, you said after the event I can write it in trust." And I went, doesn't sound like me. In Copilot, did I recommend Joe Bloggs should write the policy? He said, yeah, you did. Here's the reference. I said, actually, at the time, I told you to put it into trust. Did that make sense? So he's saying after the event, I knew it would be before the event, whacked it into Copilot. It found it within 10 seconds.
Yeah.
People will be going away from the traditional CRM system. They'll be using AI search functions on their SharePoint. That's why we're trying to keep everything in the Microsoft ecosystem.
Yeah, no, I get that. And it's going to be harder than it sounds to move towards that because Intelligent Office doesn't allow you to just use an AI bot to go into it to extract data. And my issue is the time it would take to extract all of that data from our back office system to then somehow either the ideal is to create with some specialist a CRM system using Microsoft products and vehicles and OneDrive and so forth to be able to, as you say, use an AI tool to go in and extract that information. I think if you're using it for that information in a closed environment and you're using it for that purpose, I can see that the AI is going to be excellent for that. And I agree with you. If you're going to use that to assist, if you try and search for something in the search bar at the bottom of your PC and you use the Finder option within Microsoft, it's pretty dreadful. It's just really bad. It's like doing a search in Outlook for something. The results are terrible. But if you use a bit of AI to go through it all, it applies logic and relevance, and then it brings you back. And it still brings me back to this point, though, that it bothers me that people are going to be sloppy, are going to rely on answers, are going to sort of try to become more efficient, more profitable because of it. And I get that, you're running a business, you want to be profitable, you want to be efficient, but the outcomes for the client could suffer.
I don't think anything has changed. I think we had that same issue when we found the internet, and we're going to have the same issue going forward with other technology and stuff. And what it does, it just means the cream rises to the top. Does that make sense? So the better firms are going to shine, and people are going to notice it. They're going to see that this is just an AI output. There's already been a report, I think I read it in the FT, that clients are asking for an AI discount. So, these accounting firms and management consultancy firms are producing reports for their clients, and look at saying, you've done this on AI. You were going to charge us this. This has taken you a fraction of the time. How much discount are you going to give us? It's a tool for us to use, but we can't use it to replace us.
The most important point that comes out of that for me, Warren, though, is firms like ours, and I know that I'm doing this, and other firms I would encourage to do the same, should be differentiating themselves from the lowest common denominator firm that's just trying to use AI to become more efficient, more profitable. And in the States, where it's perhaps more advanced or bigger firms that are using it more efficiently, cases and examples where big firms have literally got rid of their financial planning arm and said, AI can do this. There's no substitute for me for interaction, for staff interaction. My staff have got on board with this. I want to make sure that they understand AI and the way that we're using it, and we're creating our own policies as a business in terms of, and some people, as I say, are more ahead than others. But if we can save time through search engines, through creating administrative emails to the client, or rather that we all check, guides that we can generate, a guide on a factual topic, whether it's on tax or pensions, or on the benefit, how divorce works or how a trust works. Creating those guides that are branded, it's amazing. Writing an email to somebody, if it's to an organization, let's say we're using Aviva for something, and we've got a lot of information, and you drop all the Word documents, the emails, the PDFs into Claude or a ChatGPT or something else, or give it access to them, and then you tell it what you want it to generate, and then you generate an amazing letter for them. I like that. What I don't like, and I got this from my son's headmaster, is the idea of writing an email to a client of mine using AI. Because it takes away the personality and the personal aspects and the empathy. And the reason why I bring up the head teacher, he wrote to all the 1,500 parents, or whatever it is, of all the kids, all the parents of all the kids, maybe it's 700, there's 1,500 kids at the school, and said, we do not use AI to generate our emails to you. Please do not use AI to write in emails to us. because you know that parents are using specific rules that AI is finding on the internet about their children, about taking the time out of school, what their rights are. And my conveyancing solicitor the other day, I was having a chat with him. He said, this is just elongating the buying process, because now conveyancers are going and the clients are asking 10 times as many questions that they're finding that they think that they need to ask to their conveyancer about the property, because they're using AI as a function to create all these questions. So it's making the process longer. It's sort of saying, oh, I don't want to miss that out, so I'll ask all these questions. So it can be used for good, for saving time and clarity and repetitive admin and summarizing actions and creating a sort of educational material, capturing meeting notes. But it can also be used for bad as well.
Yeah. And I think when you said repetitive tasks, I think that's where Claude Cowork really stands out, that it's able to run as an agent on your machine, actually doing tasks. As long as the software is open, it will actually do tasks for you, like file checking or organizing a file, tidying a file, making sure documents are in there, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And things that are repetitive in nature, yeah, it's going to be automated.
Well, let's talk about the data protection issue and how you see it. Especially if you're going to, and we don't do this, but if an advisor is going to use client data in a folder that they're giving AI access to then create a report that they might check. Yeah, you would expect them to check it before it goes out, but they're doing it for efficiencies. How do you feel about that?
I feel that we trust our IT people and our compliance company to give us the right answers. Our AI policy explicitly says they are not permitted to use any other AI tool other than Copilot. It's only me that uses Claude.
So you think it's a closed loop system?
Yeah, because it's subscription based. We pay for it, and they do not use the free version. They're only allowed to use a subscription-based version.
And our policy states that no personally identifiable client data should be entered into public or unapproved AI tools. Yeah. Only approved systems should be used, and AI must not be used in any way that could result in data leakage. Because a client's financial life is private, deeply private. Their income, their pensions, their investments, their savings, all of their vulnerabilities, all of that. You cannot just drag information and say, just summarize this email, and you throw everything, including the fact find, into a non-subscription bit of AI that God knows what they're doing with that data. But they're doing something with it. Somebody's using it.
What was it? I'm trying to think of the company. I'm going to forget the company, but it was somebody like Samsung or something. So it may not have been them. All their programmers were using ChatGPT to get code and things. It was just becoming open source, and everyone was understanding what they were doing. So, you have to be very careful. But do you know what? You have to be careful, period. Just like you were saying, you no longer send attachments on emails and stuff. We just got to be careful of what we do. Making sure that we're all working in a compliant, secure environment.
Yeah. The convenience is not an excuse for compromising confidentiality.
No, of course not. Yeah, absolutely. It takes a lifetime to build a reputation, but you can be lost in a heartbeat.
Especially if you do things on a whim. So one of the bugbears I have with AI generally is that if you ask it a technical question and you don't already know sufficient enough about that subject to be able to decide if the answer is true or not, or reasonable, and then you don't look at the sources it's used to generate that, and you don't question it, it can be dangerous. You get an output that's just all over the place. And many a times for convenience, I've asked it, no client data, but put in information about a tax question. And you'll be blown away sometimes as how amazing it can be. But as long as you're checking it and you've got the information, 20 odd years or a lot of certain qualifications to be able to decide, does the output look correct or not? If it's something that's not my speciality, if it's something that I don't understand, that's outside of my remit, I won't just use AI to create an answer to send to the client. I'd rather say I don't know, or I'll try and find out, or I'll refer to someone who knows about these things.
So most of the time, the team will use Mr. Lexington to ask questions. Does that make sense? So rather than just going into Copilot and asking questions of that, because that's going off into the wider universe, they'll just use the closed agent within Copilot just to, ask it questions and stuff.
I'm amazed at the speed. I've got to be honest. I started to use ChatGPT ages ago, and then went to the business version, the paid subscription, and then I gave it to my team and paid for a year's subscription. And then I started to use Claude, and I started to use the better version of it, if you like. Now I'm going to move up to enterprise for the team. What I'm amazed is at how much better I think Claude is than ChatGPT. Depends on what you're using it for. But when you mentioned co-work, you get chat, co-work, and code, don't you? When you start use co-work and give it access to information, the outputs can be just amazing. It can help create slides on presentations, Word documents, Excels. It's mathematically clever, and it can read it all in a heartbeat. It's fascinating.
I think the reason being is co-work links to other external apps, and the
Exactly.
Microsoft frontier, the what they're moving towards, is having its data checked by Claude, or not checked, but checked, I guess, or referenced by Claude. So you got Copilot, Copilot doing the feedback, and it says checked by Claude.
Yeah.
So Claude's good. I kind of use Claude more for mathematical sides. I think, I don't know why, but that's just my way I do it. And we kind of use Copilot just general day-to-day within the office, if it's being used. But I don't feel I'm an AI expert in any shape or form. I'm just embracing it. And I kind of liken it to my kids about the calculator. Yeah. I said, when their grandparents were alive and stuff like that, they weren't necessarily using calculator. My dad bloody probably used an abacus, bless his heart. It's like, but the calculator now is just the norm. It's just acceptable. And that's going to be the same for our grandchildren when they grow up. They're like, well, of course, you just use AI, right? We have a team meeting every Thursday morning, and I've put it on the agenda that everyone has to share a new piece of information on what they're using AI for, either personally or in the office. Really? Because I want it to be part of our day-to-day thing. I don't want it to be something we pick up and put down. Yeah. It's something that we do. So Christian, he won't mind me sharing this, shared that he uses Gemini and he talks to it. And he's learning another language, and Gemini's helping him to learn Dutch stuff. I was like, that's incredible. So, of course, what do? I put up Gemini on my phone. I start talking to it. And then my wife says, stop that, put it down. Talk to me, not AI. But I remember driving home. I took my mum away for a few days. I was driving home through Birmingham. My mum grew up in Birmingham. We hadn't been there for a long time. And I put Gemini on in the car. Oh, yeah. And my mum and I were talking about it. I was saying, tell me about this area back in the 1950s when my mum was living there. So, what was it like? And it was telling me what it was like. She goes, that's right. Yeah, I remember that. The only thing is, every time you speak, it stops, doesn't it? I said, she'll be quiet. Hit mute, let it talk. The next 20 years in financial planning are going to be so exciting, and the developments of it are going to be amazing. I'm old enough, and I think you probably are too, remember the days when we would ring up for quotes and illustrations, and 2 days later there'd be a thump on the doorstep and there'd be a mound of quotes that we'd go through manually and create it. Think, oh my God, I forgot someone put waiver of premium on it. Ring them back up again. 2 days later they'd come through. Everything's at the touch of our hands. We do it all online now.
Was this in the 80s? I don't remember this.
That was in the 90s. Yeah, 95 to 2000. We were doing all the quotes ourselves.
I was 2000 onwards. That's why I don't remember doing that. But I can see where you're going with that. Goodness.
And you would have a wad because you had all the different options and combinations and stuff, and they would all come through.
You see how far we've come in those years, and nearly 30
we're doing it all ourselves, aren't they? They're putting all the work back on us, and I don't really think they've cut their staff levels down that much.
I'm going to sit on the fence a bit with it. There's parts of it I really like, but when you just said then about talking to AI, there'll be people out there will do that as a substitute for talking to their friends and family. The problem with AI is it's not that it produces nonsense. The problem is that it can produce something that's very polished, professional, and plausible, but still wrong. So it can be confidently wrong. I've had arguments with AI, with ChatGPT, saying, you're not right. That is not right, what you've just said. It's using outdated tax allowances, incorrect pension rules. It's gone to the wrong place. What did a chap I spoke to the other day say? It's only as clever as the dumbest person that it asks for the answer. If AI misunderstands the client objectives...
I disagree with that. There's a lot of people say that, and that isn't true.
It's getting data from Reddit. No, it's getting data from Reddit, from YouTube. If you point it, as you've just mentioned, at the right sources, the output's going to be much better, isn't it? Okay.
But it's not true that if you go into Copilot and just ask her, or ChatGPT and ask it a question, it isn't just retrieving that information if it's incorrect. There are algorithms that test it. Everyone says this. Oh, it's only as good as the data it gets. Yeah, but there's an algorithm in there that references it, and it backs it up against other sources of information. So they're going to offer higher credibility to the likes of HMRC sites than they are to Reddit. So it isn't always right. It hallucinates, it gets information wrong, but then so does your doctor. How many people have diagnosed incorrectly? How many financial planners have offered incorrect advice over the past? So
100%.
It's not perfect.
This is the issue, isn't it? This is the crux point, that it depends on what you do with it and how you use it. So let's talk about what good firms should do. So number one, they should have a clear AI policy. Agreed?
Agreed. Yeah,
they should have approved tools.
Yeah, more so for their staff, I think, more than anything else, so they know what the boundaries are, what they can and can't do.
You've got to have staff training, because, as you said, no one just comes into your office and teaches you all about AI and says this is how it works. You've got to do it yourself, essentially, or you could get a specialist in, I suppose. You've got to have...
On that note, if anyone wants a trainer, I have a very good trainer who can do AI training. Not me, just an external guy. I met him on a train.
Yeah. You've got to have data protection rules. You've got to have that human review. So if you're creating emails or documents or whatever like that, you've got to make sure that someone's checking this stuff before it goes out.
You are sounding like a compliance officer
now.
Yeah.
Well,
can't we get to the good bits?
You've got to have compliance oversight, and you've got to have clear prohibited uses of it, as we've just been talking about there. So I'm all for using it for efficiencies and to make our lives a bit easier. But as I say, as long as we're not using it for the lazy option, and if you just don't check it and you don't look at it correctly. Sometimes the notes, when I've used Saturn to have conversations, especially if it's with another client called Paul, he gets really confused. Or if you say, I've been to Japan or I've been to Australia, and you mention yourself as an example, and then the report that spits out is the client went to Australia, and I'm like, well, that's not right. That's not what we said. So it's been getting better, but it's also known to be inaccurate. So you have to check the outputs.
Do you know what you said at the beginning? I tell you what it's very good at is our insurance policy came in. We've got a few trees at the house. We wanted to make sure we're insured if a tree's the house. We uploaded the policy documents, asked it a few questions, came back, and so it's fantastic to look at the detail very, very quickly and give you the answer what's there.
Yeah. I agree with you. Uploading documents, getting to read things quickly, and then giving you an answer from that's amazing. And that definitely saves time. So, friend or foe, final verdict. It's a friend when used carefully, transparently and intelligently, but it's foe when it's used lazily, secretly, or as a shortcut for competence.
Isn't that relationships, though? Yeah, if you are lazy with your friend, if you do that stuff, you're going to have a bad relationship. You got to treat it like an individual. Not
people are going to get married to their AI avatars in the future. I mean, you can guarantee it in the States. They're about to do that.
You know what? When I went to see ABBA Voyager, I fancied the blonde one on the stage, and my wife had to say to me, "Do you realize she's not real?" I can see that taking off hugely, and I can see in the future avatars helping us do things in reality.
The sad state, though, is this, because it's an age thing for us. It's kind of like the pub down the road closing because of costs. Everything's going to the lowest common denominator. You can look up this word. It's called enshittification. It's an actual word coined. Yeah.
Say it one more time.
It's called enshittification, how things just generally get worse from a technological point of view. My point about the pubs and about AI and you speaking to your radio and having Meta Wayfarer glasses where you're talking to an avatar, you realise that it's not really a person. It's not a substitute for having a girlfriend or having a chat down the pub with your friends. I more and more think about it. I had a friend of mine around the other day, mid-50s. We were talking about vinyl and having a nice lunch and stuff. And we didn't talk about business at all. And he's in finance and he works for an investment house. And he said to me, I don't really watch the news, don't really listen to it. I'm not on AI. I'm not on Facebook or Instagram. And I really respected it because I thought, this guy's really got it sorted. The more information you have, the more you're on all of these sites, the more depressing it can be because it's just information overload.
I agree with that. Yeah,
Simpler times I prefer, human interaction.
I came off all social media sites other than Facebook, LinkedIn, and I feel better for it. Definitely. Yeah. So, me is a best friend forever. Honestly, it's let's treat it like not like a human being, but let's treat it respectfully and don't trust everything. You don't trust everything someone says to you, do you?
No, I get what you're saying. It's definitely here to stay. It'll improve. We've agreed that advisors shouldn't ignore it and clients don't need to panic about it. But I think that proper firms, firms need proper controls. The human advisor remains central. And the more I think about it, I'm trying to make sure that we retain that personal relationship with the client, the human experience, the empathy, the sort of the relationship with the client. That's way more important than creating notes in 24 hours than 48 hours. So you've got to get on the bandwagon, agree with that, but use it responsibly. So let's move to Q&A. Do you think that's a wrap for our focal point?
Yeah, I think that's a wrap. Let's move to Q&A. And I'm sure I've got a quote. I'm sure you've got dozens. So why don't you start and I can come in and then we can go back and forth a little bit.
Okay, yeah. What's my favorite one of these? Peter Drucker, a quote from him. He was an Austrian-born, American-educated consultant, author. He's recognized as the father of modern management. He said, "The greatest danger in times of turbulence is not the turbulence, it's to act with yesterday's logic."
I like that.
Do you understand the quote?
Yeah. No, I like that. I like that a lot. I like Peter Drucker stuff too. So, okay. The river flows whether we fear it or trust it.
Oh yeah, definitely. Who said that? Do you know who that was?
I think it was some Buddhist quote. I don't know who it was, but yeah.
Christian, one of your guys is Christian. He's Christian. Christian Luce Lange, don't know if I pronounced this guy's name right, said, "Technology is a useful servant, but a dangerous master."
Yeah, that's good. Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah, definitely. Anything else you want to share with us? We wrap up.
I like these last two that I have. They're short ones. One's from Albert Einstein. We all know who he is. Information is not knowledge. I like that. Information is not knowledge because, sounds obvious, doesn't it? And William James said, "The art of being wise is knowing what to overlook."
Yeah, true. Okay. Hey, that's a wrap for today. If you have any Q&As for us, please let us know. Please like and subscribe to the show. And thanks for tuning in to the Finance Geeks. That's it for today.
Okay, thanks, guys. See you next time. Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to the Finance Geeks. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave us a 5-star review. Drop your comments and questions on YouTube, and be sure to follow us on social media. Join us next time for more insights to boost your financial planning game.